Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We're continuing a series on pathways to prospering this month, and today's message is loose change. And so I'll start off by just asking how many people have some change on them? Quarters, nickels, dimes. Wow, that's a lot of loose change. Don't throw it all up here at one time. But my message today is that loose change is pretty important, and it's symbolic of some other things in our lives. Because imagine if we put everybody's loose change together in this room, we could probably buy something pretty cool, right? Much less if we took everyone's loose change at home as well and all brought it together, we could probably do something pretty cool. And if we took everybody's loose change together, we'd probably be millionaires, right? Loose change can be really important, and it speaks to me a little bit to those little loose choices that we have in the day. There's choices. We've got to go to work, we've got to eat, we've got to do this and that, but think about all those loose change kind of choices we have in our lives. What are we going to watch on TV? What am I going to do with this certain amount of free time? Should I call this person or not call this person? You think if you added all the loose change up and you directed it towards something really important, really valuable and meaningful in your life, it's hard to think how that meaning wouldn't be brought to you in a pretty profound way. Speaking of prosperity, in my experience, it's been important to understand that prosperity isn't a place that we get to in a single step. And that's a mistake I've made in times during my life where I've wanted to have a big breakthrough in prosperity, where I wanted to win the lottery or have an ideal job come or get that big payday. I've often thought that prosperity is something I should wait for and just hope that it shows up through luck. But I come to believe and understand that true prosperity is really about a countless number of steps that we take. A countless number of steps that we take in awareness and in investment of a greater good. And when we take those steps with a consistency of not taking steps against them, it can again really pay off in an amazing way. I found this true in terms of major choices that I've made in my life as well. One of the major choices I've made is to be a minister. It's a big deal to me. It's a big deal to my life and my career. And I'd like to say that it was just a choice that I made one day, but it really wasn't that way. I'd like to think that one day I was walking down the road and I heard the voice of God and say, "Josh, God, is that you again? I haven't heard from you in a while. I want you to become a minister." And I can imagine the answer, well, let me just get a few things out of my system first, and I'll be ready to answer that call. But it didn't really happen that way. What happened was a countless number of choices to invest in my own spiritual practice, to try to be a better listener, to work on being authentic, to educate myself, to practice speaking and sharing and teaching, to the degree that becoming a minister wasn't a yes or no choice for me. It was a choice of, are you going to acknowledge who you are or not? I can relate it to my impending marriage too. Getting married wasn't a single choice. It was the result of countless choices wherein the choice was, am I going to acknowledge the truth of this relationship or not? And I think it's true when it comes to true prosperity and prosperous living. The question is, are you going to acknowledge it or not? Have you taken the time to really count up not just the important things, but all that loose change to know just how valuable and meaningful your existence is, and do you apply it to your life with consistency? John Shar said, "The future is created first in the mind and will, created next in activity. The future is not some place we are going to, but one we are creating. The paths are not to be found, but made. And the activity of making them changes both the making and the destination." Sound true? And I think naivety in life is pretty important in our younger years, but I think it can be a great consequence too. And naivety has helped me become good at things that I had no business trying in the first place. But one of the things that I think I've been most naive in my life spiritually is I've often asked God for things without recognizing that it was going to take work from me to really have those things. So I've come to really learn that you can ask God for a loving and fulfilling relationship. You can ask God for success. You can ask God for fulfillment. But in truth, I don't think that God really gives you those things. What God will give you, however, are the tools and the opportunities and the individuals, if you are willing, to invest in them so that you can understand and actually have what a loving, fulfilling relationship is, or success, or fulfillment. I would have loved it if I could have said, God, please provide me with a loving, fulfilling relationship, and God said, here you go, here's the perfect girl, please live happily ever after. It'd be great if it worked that way, but that's not, in a sense, what happened. What happens for most of us is God says, here is your perfect partner for you. Invest in it. Here's your choice. And for any of us who have really experienced success or fulfillment or a loving, fulfilling relationship, know that it's not always easy, right? It takes sacrifice. It takes hard work. It takes courage. For most of us, it even means having to walk through fears, hurts, insecurities. It involves letting go of false versions of ourselves, forgiveness, so much. It's not easy to really achieve these things in our lives. It takes not just the big yes to wanting God or the universe or life or whatever we want to call it to provide those things for us. It takes our full commitment, all of those little choices, all of those little things that we do to create and make those things happen in our lives. An essential part of my message today around prosperity is to not wait for it. Don't wait for your prosperity. Your prosperity is not an event. It is the result of your investment into the richness of life. Because we all know there's so much available there. Our prosperity is our ability to invest our choices, our energy, our mindfulness, our attention, our heart, and our soul in the everydayness of our life and pull from it as much as we can. The more we pull, the more change we gather, the richer and richer we are, and the more often those big things happen, those big breaks, those big opportunities. I partially get my talk title today from a good friend of mine, and I was over at his place, and he was there with his wife, and they had a big bucket, and it was filled with loose change. And they told me that every day they empty their loose change into this bucket, and they're going to save it for taking their dream vacation. And I really loved that. This idea of saving something that's seemingly not that important, but then directing it towards something really big and grand. And for them, they didn't just put pennies and nickels and dimes. They put $10 bills, $5 bills, $1 bills, whatever was left over in order to do this really grand thing. And I think there's a great spiritual principle or practice in this too, which is if you take the time not to just focus on the major choices you're making, but the little ones, and if you direct those little choices on the biggest things that you want to experience and make happen in your life, they begin to store up. They begin to save up. They begin to create a certain style of momentum, a certain trajectory that can sometimes help us achieve, download, make happen those bigger dreams that we want to experience. Now, in my life, I've had trouble saving at times. I can remember being a kid and saving up my dimes and nickels and thinking I'm going to get a video game one day with this. I'm going to get Super Mario Brothers 3, the greatest video game of all time with my change. And what would happen is I'd break down because I really wanted a candy bar. Or I really wanted to get a comic book. And that was sweet for a time. I can get that, at least I saved something. And a little later in life I can think about something like taking a vacation I wanted to. Maybe I really wanted to go to New York, or much less to go to Europe. And that's a really cool thing to start saving for, start committing to. But what would happen, I'd just say, well, just screw it, I'm just going to go to Vegas. Or, forget it, I just got to get out of town, let's go to Santa Barbara. And this is kind of okay too. At least you're saving something. At least you're getting out there. But let's think of it in terms of those grandest heart desires that we have in our lives. Have you ever really wanted to save and invest in something like having a loving and fulfilling relationship? And perhaps unbeknownst to you, just said, oh, I'll just settle for this one. Or wanted to achieve a great amount of success, but found yourself settling for something that was less than equal to who you are just to get by or just to not have to think about it. That's where I think we have to be careful. You know, it's a little dangerous if we go onto christianmingle.com to search for God's perfect match for us and just say, oh, forget it, I just want God's perfect match for me for right now. And we'll get out of this, we'll get it done. You didn't laugh at first service either. Over 2, right? Over 2 on that joke. But I think there's something powerful in not giving up. You know, sometimes we have to give up some of the visions or pictures that come with our deep desires, but we should never give up on wanting that experience of love or that experience of prosperity or that experience of truly living in a successful or depth-filled way. And does anyone here know the big thing that you want to be investing in your life, that you want to experience, that means true prosperity to you? Maybe it means lots of money, but maybe some of you just want some peace of mind. Who knows? Anybody? We're moving into an interactive part of the service. Jeff?
Having a successful training company.
Having a successful training company. Awesome. Awesome. Brenda?
There are 17,000 apartment buildings in LA that need retrofitting.
Okay, all right, thank you. Mark? Oh no, that's Vashti, sorry.
Self-published 2 novels that I wrote.
Self-published 2 novels that you wrote. Awesome. Anybody else? Those are great. Jerry?
So I can go on vacation.
Ah, vacation employees. Yes, great. Now, Mark, thank you.
Ministerial.
I was ahead of time. Ministerial school. Oh, she said it here. So every week during the series, I wanted to include something tangible for us. And so there's an insert in your program today. And I want to invite us to think about what can I do every day that just doesn't draw from today, but invests in tomorrow. In particular, these big things. They could be tangible goals, but they could be qualities of spirit in a thing itself. And so it's on a pink paper. It says, Pathways to Prospering, Loose Change, Investing Little Choices into Big Decisions. And the question I invite us to ask ourselves is, what choices can I make for my prosperity today? And so if you're wanting to write a book, this came up in the last service, maybe you shouldn't focus so much on your dreams of doing the great American novel. Maybe just write a paragraph and mean it and care about it, you know. And so if you have a pen or something, take a moment to think of something that you can do today to invest in your prosperity. Maybe it's a walk on the beach instead of running home and turning back CNN to hear the same story again, right away. Maybe it's not going out to lunch and saving money to go to a grander dinner in a couple of weeks. Maybe it's building appreciation in your life by committing to calling 3 people that mean a lot to you and just saying thank you and checking in. Anybody writing anything down? I hope to hear a few. What's a choice you can make for your prosperity today? Florence? To go to the affirmation workshop today. All right, her tuition's free. Anybody else? Rose? Pray daily. I like that. And pray not just today, but invest that prayer and better experience it tomorrow too. Fantastic. Bernadette?
Call my daughter-in-law.
Call my daughter-in-law. Beautiful.
Do FaceTime with my grandkids.
FaceTime with my grandkids. Excellent. That's meaningful stuff. Sometimes it's those loose change decisions that we'll remember and be more meaningful to us than sometimes those big old important things like getting all the work that doesn't matter to anything done, right? Anybody else have something they can do today? George?
Go to your prosperity class on Tuesday.
Go to the prosperity class on Tuesday. All right. I will gladly pay you Tuesday for your prosperity. I heard there's something about Tuesdays. Anybody else? Oh, come on, I want to hear a couple more. Are you so deep in thought, writing things down? Marilyn?
Do my homework for your prosperity.
Do your homework, all right. Yeah. Save up.
Take 10 minutes over the next 5 days to listen to the small voice.
Yeah. One of the biggest, most practical things that I think that we can do in our daily lives is look at that time that you spend in what we might call escapism, where you try to kind of numb yourself from life, where you kind of want to take a break. And instead, when you don't normally do those activities with your free time, fill them with awareness expanding activities. So instead of just watching 3 hours of channel surfing, whatever's on in that moment, and kind of drifting off, read a book of wisdom, or take that walk on that beach. Instead of just playing whatever's on the cell phone, take a moment to journal or write some thoughts. Instead of procrastinating in bed about something, call up someone that you care about and check in. I don't usually make guarantees, but what I bet is that you'll find that those mindfulness expanding activities revitalize you and fill you with much more energy than the trying to numb yourself out things can do. Only you can know what is escapism for you, because watching TV could be an awareness inspiring thing. Playing Pokemon Go can be really uplifting, whatever it may be. So only you know what will work for you. But I think that's one of the best activities we can do and the best ways we can spend our loose change is to invest in those awareness expanding activities. I want to share the quote here that's on this insert as well from the 19th century Edward Everett Hale. He says, "The most abundant thing to do is to give yourself fully to the moment you are in." One more time. The most abundant thing to do is to give yourself fully to the moment you are in. It's so important. Prosperity isn't a withdrawal, it's an investment that appreciates, that expands our awareness that we receive when we're in it and not separating ourselves from it. Trusting that right in front of you there is plenty to do, and that the energy you bring into making that sandwich, sounds good, a sandwich, or writing those words, kissing your spouse, it carries you onward into the opportunities of the moments that follow. Anyone else write something down that they want to share?
Be kind.
Be kind. Yeah.
Especially to my ex-husband.
Especially to my ex-husband. I love the addendums, by the way. Anybody else? Gina. Write letters of gratitude. Yeah. We've got more. Sheila. Of course you wrote a haiku. Let's hear it.
I wrote, "This changes ahead. We need to create, find more love, eternal gratitude."
Awesome. I'm sorry for not being able to repeat all that, but I love it. One more. Leanne.
Quality time with my daughter.
Quality time. Yes, and I love that, just quality time. And your daughter's a cool person to hang out with, so that's great. One of my favorite quotes is one of the most simple. It comes from John Wooden, the great UCLA basketball coach, and he says, "Little things make big things happen." Little things make big things happen. As opposed to procrastinating about some of those big things that may or may not happen in your life, focus on the little things that you do to prepare for your betterment, that prepare for greater demonstrations in your life. A famous story about Wooden, who once won 7 NCAA titles in a row with his team, is that new students would come each season. They'd be really excited to get this pep rally about how they're going to win, how they're winners, they're going to make the big plays, they're going to make the big shots, they're going to be champions. But Wooden wouldn't talk about that. He would spend an incredibly long time talking about the importance of shoes and of socks. This would kind of drive the students a little crazy, but you kind of get where he's getting at. He'd say, basketball is a game that's played on a hardwood floor. And to be good, you have to change your direction, change your pace. That's hard on your feet. Your feet are very important. And if you don't have every wrinkle out of your sock, and what the students would begin to learn is what most of us have hopefully learned in our lives, that the big game is nothing compared to practice. That the big moments are only accomplishable, if I'm making up a word, because of all the little moments we did in preparing for them. When we do all the little things, the big things take care of themselves. Wouldn't we go on? There's always a danger of becoming untied when you are playing. If they become untied, I may have to take you out of the game. Practice, I may have to take you out. Miss practice, you're going to miss playing time. And not only that, it will irritate me a little too. So we can apply this wisdom to our lives, right? Because little things make what? Big things happen. So as opposed, and remember the big things, think about the big things that you want, but begin to turn your attention more to the little things. The Buddhist teacher Sherry Huber tells us that getting what you want in life has everything to do with awareness and nothing to do with willpower. You know, it's a powerful idea. It kind of challenges us at first because we think we're supposed to go, go, go and get everything that we want. But it's much wiser, I've found in my experience, just to be where we are and start bringing awareness into what we're doing. And what I am doing right now is what I am doing right now, investing in my greater good, or is it decreasing or taking away from it? Is this choice that I'm going to make right now investing in my prosperity tomorrow, or is it taking away from it? Is it investing in my greater awareness, my greater love life, my greater choice making, or is it diminishing me? So let's bring our attention to that loose change so that we can spend it more wisely. And if we do, it's more than anything else is going to create and manifest those big dreams. So as we move into prayer, we've been ending each week with a passage from Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker's work, Richer Living. And so if you'd like, just take a deep, prayerful breath with me. If you want, close your eyes, and we'll listen to these words from the author. Today, I know that the presence of divine mind in me will guide me aright. It will set me on the path of right action. It will direct my footsteps. It will counsel my mind. Today, I am aware that there is a light which dispels ignorance, fear, superstition, and doubt, and sets me safe and sane on the pathway of truth. I feel that my being is so close to the divine that there is no separation whatsoever. Knowing that I abide in the Spirit of truth and that the Spirit of truth abides in me, today I open my whole consciousness to divine guidance. I realize that my entire being is in the hands of a higher power, that my thought is molded by the divine will, that my mind responds completely to the indwelling presence which is God. So if you choose to affirm silent with me, please do so as I affirm and know that prosperity is. Prosperity is. There is never a question in my life if prosperity is not, if it is tomorrow or yesterday. The question is, am I with my prosperity or not? Am I participating in it, or am I separating myself from it? I recognize that the richness of life, if it is ever to be found, can only be found right here and right now. Now is that treasure box. The exploring of it in that present moment is our treasure. Investing all of my choices, all of my well wishes, all of my intentions, into this high awareness of the greater good, making a commitment to do my best to not choose against my own prosperity, to not choose against my own good by falling into voices from long ago that do not know the truth of who I am or of what life is or what it is about. I bring my thinking, my choices, my heart, and most importantly, my awareness in alignment with this great knowing that prosperity is the very truth of being itself. As I participate gladly in it, I invest all my choices, big and small, and know that I continue to withdraw and appreciate nothing but that good, nothing but that richness, which Spirit bring me here to do, and continues to carry me onward. In gratitude, we let it be, and so it is. So, thanks for your time, everybody.